Hosting our guest is Michael Gonzalez. Mr. Gonzalez is Senior Fellow in our Catherine and Shelby Cullum Davis Institute for National Security and Foreign Policy. He previously served Heritage as Vice President for Communications. Before joining us in 2009, he spent close to 20 years as a journalist, 15 of them reporting from Europe and Asia, serving as a foreign correspondent for AFP, a columnist for the Wall Street Journal, deputy editor of the editorial pages of the journal's Asia editions, as well as later the European edition, and he even returned then to Hong Kong in 2004 as editor of the journal's Asian editorial pages. He was also privileged to serve in the George W. Bush administration at the Securities and Exchange Commission and then at the Department of State. Born in Cuba and coming to the United States at 12, he has lived and reported from 10 different nations around the globe in his journalism career. Please join me in welcoming Mike Gonzalez. Mike?
Thank you. Welcome to Heritage. I'm often, well, always asked to introduce people who are far more famous than I am. You've all seen the movie with Coach here. The talking points I wrote say Bill Courtney, but I really can't call a coach anything other than Coach. He runs a $45 million lumber mill in Memphis that employs 120 people. One of the important things you need to know about this is that he started the company just a few days after 9/11, and when it was very rough in this country, as we all remember, and yet the company has become a huge success. Then he was asked to take over at this high school in Memphis that had won 7 games out of the last 99, and turned the program around. Hollywood got a hold of this and thought it would be a good movie in it. And the movie obviously is Undefeated, but Undefeated is not about the record of the team. Undefeated is about what he did with those young men whom he coached. The book, which I highly recommend, and he will take question and answer period afterward, and he will sign the book for whoever wants to buy a copy. It's about how he teaches civility, character, commitment, and service. And I say, as somebody who played football in high school in the South, that is exactly what I got out of it, and I really have to thank all my coaches in high school for teaching me that. And it's a sadness, I told the coach, that neither one of my sons is going to play football, and I think this is a problem for the sport. My wife just won't let her. I know, I've seen that look in her eyes, and I won't be able to win that argument, so I'm not even going to try. But Coach, without further ado, I'd like to ask you to come and join us here for your talk.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me. Sure. A lot. I appreciate you, and I appreciate the foundation. Since winning the Academy Award, since being part of that whole process, I speak all over the country, and it's all kinds of venues, from PepsiCo to Frito-Lay to Nike Win Forever to the Paralympics in Colorado Springs, and venues all over the place. And I think the thing I like the very most about Undefeated is the platform it has given me to say some things that I think need to be said. At the end of the day, y'all, I'm a football coach, and I own a lumber company, and I'm a guy from Memphis. And really the only difference in me and thousands of other Americans is that my story got told. But as a virtue of my story getting told, I've been given this platform. And we could use that platform to do some cool stuff and make some extra money and be all neat in Hollywood. Or we could use this platform to maybe have some conversations about things that we're maybe not necessarily too comfortable having conversations about. That's why Against the Grain exists, because after all these speeches, people come up and say, hey, I want to hear more about this. I love what you said about this or what you said about that. Do you have a book? And I didn't. And so now I have a book, and people can read more about it. It kind of starts like this. When I graduated from Ole Miss, I taught school and coached football for a living. It's all I really ever wanted to do. And all that changed because there was this lady named Susan who ran the lunchroom, and she cooked hot chocolate chip cookies, and oh my gosh, they're so good. These, the hot ones, the gooey ones, the big ones. And because I was a young, struggling, starving coach, and I was in shape and tried to flirt a lot, I would get cookie and a little thing of milk for a quarter. And so what changed was one really nondescript afternoon, this person walks in the back door to see her aunt, Susan, the lunchroom lady, and she's wearing a lime green shirt and shorts and has this long, dark, silky hair. And her name is Lisa, and she is now the woman I've been married to for 22 and a half years, who has given me my 19-year-old, my 18-year-old, my 17-year-old, and my 16-year-old. We got on city water and it cleared up. But so we got those. And what happened was I married her, started having kids, and a coach's football salary didn't get it anymore. And I had to get into the private world. And when I got into the private world, I bounced around and ended up starting this company called Classic American Hardwoods in 2001, literally off my couch. Now, my father left the home when I was 4, and I had very little relationship with him. And my mom was married a number of times. My mom's 4th husband shot at me down a hallway when I was a teenager, and I had to dive out a window to save myself. So my reality was never, you're going to be the owner of a $45 million company with offices in Shanghai, with offices in Ho Chi Minh. You're never going to be a guy that's got 120 employees, and you're unlikely to be a guy who's been married to the same woman for 22 years with this amazing family. And you're sure as heck not going to be the guy that's the subject of award, the subject of a movie that wins the Academy Award, and you're going to be walking down the red carpet with P. Diddy and George Clooney. Not my reality. But it happened. It did happen. And I'm going to tell you why it happened in a minute. So by virtue of marrying this unbelievable woman and needing to do better for my family, I started this business off my couch. And throughout the whole process of transitioning from being a coach for a living and a teacher to a businessman, I still, in non-faculty and volunteer situations, coached in and out of football throughout my life. And this opportunity in 2003 came up at Manassas to coach football while still operating my business, and I took it because it was still a passion. What we found was 17 kids on a varsity football team and a previous 10 years record of 7 wins and 92 losses. 6 years later, what we left was 75 kids suited up and a record of 18 wins and 2 losses. In an area where an 18-year-old male is 3 times more likely to be incarcerated than he is to be in college by his 20th birthday, we graduated 36 seniors and 35 went to college. And I'm here to tell you that the same thing that built that football team and the same thing that built my family that I'm extremely proud about and the same thing that built my business are what is outlined in my book, Against the Grain. It is about character. It is about commitment. It is about integrity. It is about the cliche of getting out of your comfort zone. It is about understanding the dignity of hard work. It is about understanding what the paramount, the strength of a commitment. It is about understanding forgiveness, and it is about understanding your legacy. And what's amazing about those fundamentals and tenets, y'all, is that it doesn't matter if it's your family, it doesn't matter if it's business, it doesn't matter if it's society, and it doesn't matter if it's politics. Whatever walk of life you're involved in, they work, and for all walks of life. And that's what the conversation is that the platform that Undefeated gave me that I want to have. And that's what I'm trying to have in Against the Grain. So, briefly, if you get anything from our 25 minutes here together before we do a Q&A, I hope you remember this. A vacuum is for getting dirt off a carpet. It's not for living in. Don't be a turkey person. And understand that $5 cannot be the value of your legacy on a spring day in the front yard. Okay, so that was weird, so I'll explain it. A vacuum is for picking dirt up off a carpet. It is not for living in. If you surround yourself with people who look just like you and think just like you and act just like you and whose reality is just like you, you're never going to understand what's going on in the rest of the world. We have to get out of our comfort zones. Now, I know that's cliche, but let me explain this to you. I don't have much in common with Archie Bunker, except this. My kids and my